mine. Some of them are Bob's. Morning, everyone. Oh, more of you. Come on in, come in. Right, let's break some algorithms. Morning. Okay, well, we're here to, this is sort of going to be the process through the day, through the next hour. Through the day? No, through the next hour. Here's what we're going to cover, right? Social media, AI, the TLDR is they're a bit shit. And they're limiting creativity in a way that we're going to explain why and how that's happened. We're going to talk about the problems, the limitations, and then we're going to talk about how else you can find creativity, where you can source it, and then we're going to talk about how you can actively apply it to brand launches, to activations, to bar menus, like how we could, and then at the end we're going to leave with a tool set that you can take away and be more creative, right? Ooh, we got slidey. There we go. There we go. Let's start with a quick definition of creativity. It's one of those words we all think we know what it means to be creative, to come up with a new idea, right? But ideas don't come out of the ether, and they don't come fully formed, and they don't exist in an abstract. Ideas are a way of uniquely combining or connecting two or more different things, and then using that to efficiently and effectively solve a problem. That problem might be making a drink that somebody connects with. It might be making a drink that they enjoy. It might be making a picture that I feel expresses something. That's enough of a problem. But it might also be a better way of arranging your speed rail creatively. It's your unique way of solving that problem. Creativity is a full spectrum from, we talk about mini-C creativity, which is like internal small creative decisions you make all day, to, my suit needs to hang in a better way, I'll restitch a button, I'll change a thing, or I'll organize my filing cabinet. And little C creativity, which is Instagram posts that you share with people around you. It has a social context. To professional creativity, where you use your professional skill set. You've done your 50,000 hours, you're a master in a thing, and you apply that to solve problems, all the way up to cultural creativity, people who shift cultures with their creativity. With that in mind, can we do a little hand raise? Who here would call themselves a creative with a big C? I'm a creative, just to get an idea of who's in the room. Ah, okay, a hand down. So who here would say, like with a small c, that you're a creative person? Creative is an adjective. More of you, great. Who here would like to be more creative? Right, that should be every hand in the room. Or you're in the wrong room. Yeah, all of us. You just put a hand up for everything. Right. There's this misnomer that not everyone's creative. We get that a lot. I wish I was as creative as that person. They solved that more creatively than me. I'm just not creative, and that's BS. Creativity is intrinsic to the human condition. Right? You are all creatives with a big C. If that's all you want to take from this, that's enough. When you leave here, feel proud of that. You are all creatives. But making the connections from the things that are around you and solving that problem efficiently and effectively, that's a skill. Skills can be honed and skills can be dulled. It's like a knife blade. Instagram dulls that skill set. It has dulled that skill set. So the way to get sharper is through practicing in new, wider ways. Who are we to talk about that? There's three of us up here. We all work in three different areas within hospitality. I'm a photographer. I specialize in drinks photography. I've been doing it for 15, 20 years. Between us, we've probably got a good 60 years of experience within hospitality, creative hospitality. My God, that's a horrible sentence. It's probably more than that as well, which is, we're all based in London. Weirdly, I've got a studio in East London. I specialize in drinks photography. I do a lot of the boring stuff you'll see in supermarkets, but I also do quite odd creative stuff, and I think that's what people come to me for, and that's what I'm known for. There's a QR in the bottom that we'll show it again at the end, but that will take you to a little link tree that's all about us. We've got Claire, who absolutely needs no introduction. If you've ever been to a Tales, you know who she is and what she does. But the best thing about Claire is she brings a very unique understanding about the relationship between creativity and humans within the system. I think that's your superpower.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome. And wearing banging outfits. Bob is the managing partner of Mr. Lyons Studio, which is how did you want me to say it? A strategic consultancy within the food and beverage industry. There you go. And it's part of the Mr. Lyon group. You'll know the Mr. Lyon bars. They also have this amazing creative strategic element, and Bob is the managing partner of that. His background is more agency. So it's interesting if you think about the way we're all bringing different creative avenues into to seeing how that works within hospitality. Right? I might piss some of you off now. Let's start. We need to talk about algorithms. Algorithms, the idea of the algorithm on social media, I'm going to talk about social media first. It's not there to inspire you. It's there to trap you. It's there to keep you scrolling. What is it? The average social media user scrolls through about 300 feet of content a day. That's the height of the Statue of Liberty. Just doing this. If you're doing that all day, you're not connecting with the content. And when you are, you're connecting with the content on a pissy little phone screen. If you were to use, what is that lovely stat? If you were to use 3 hours of social media a day, that's 9 years of your life going like this, right? And that's what the algorithm wants. And I don't mean that, we'll de-villainize it in a minute, but it's important to remember that it's not serving you content that is there to give you more creativity so you can go and make new cool stuff outside of social media. It's inspiring you to stay on social media, to produce more content for social media, to trap you to be on social media for longer, to see how many people have looked at your social media post, to then inspire you to make more social media posts. And if anyone wants to talk about it later, I'm happy to talk about why I think social media KPIs are ridiculous, meaningless drivel, and not an applicable way of charting the success of a creative project. But social media isn't king. It's not a villain either. Social media is dumb. Social media is a tool. It's an incredible, revolutionary tool, but it's a dumb tool. It's as revolutionary as the hammer or the wheel or the pen and paper, right? Tools have a single use case scenario. Tools are only useful for you to use them. Social media is not the catch-all. It's not like the plaster that we can wrap to put all of creativity in. There was this beautiful promise at the beginning of Instagram, particularly, and Facebook, where it was going to it was democratizing creativity, right? We were all suddenly had this platform to be creative on, and we were going to share it and be more creative with beautiful photos and stories and like project yourself. And all that's actually happened is, sure, it's raised the creative bar at the bottom. We take better photos. We all have learned to take better photos. I spent probably 10 years doing workshops for brands on how to take better photos of drinks with your phones. But it's also trimmed the top. There's no room for art on social media. And it's trimmed the sides because there's no room for outliers. If you're not on social media because you're making something weird and sculptural, there's no space for you on social media. So all that social media has done is it's closed that square. But it's a really valuable tool for social media. Don't use it for everything. Social media is not for research. The origin of this talk was in a single week I received 3 emails from 3 different agencies. The emails were all clearly written with ChatGPT, like way too many hyphens and so many silly buzzwords that ultimately meant nothing. We'd like to commission a suite of energetic images that will blah, 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 And all the images in their brief that they sent me were from Instagram. Now, the problem with that is you search for drink photography on social media, you get what the algorithm thinks you want from drinks photography, and then you're asking a creative in the least creative way possible to produce more of that. And I do it. I do it for clients because this is my job, this is my profession. I have a mortgage and a child and a wife, and I also love my job, so any opportunity to take photos for brands, I'll take it. I love what I do. I wouldn't be photographing drinks, and before this I was a trend analyst and a journalist and a bartender, and it's always been the drinks world. I love this industry and I love photographing drinks. But stop using Instagram for research, and Pinterest does not count as any better. Magazines, books, go to bars, speak to bartenders. We'll get to inspiration later, but sending me, and I speak for a lot of photographers I've spoken to about this, sending us images of other people's drink shots, or even my own drink shots, which is very flattering, and I do like it. And saying, oh God, this is amazing, can you make this? And I get to be like, actually I did. It's great, but it's not going to further your brand. It's this race to mediocrity that social media has told us is a good thing. Be like everyone else. Yesterday, there were great talks about being a rebel, and we were talking about rebellious brand activation, but also be a rebel in how you portray that. Also, Social media is not the best endpoint for everything. We use it as the only endpoint. You know, all the KPIs are attached to social media. How well is this trending on social media? Let's put this up on social media. Social media will never replace a gallery. I've started setting myself a target of doing a show, like an exhibition every year. I failed last year, but I achieved it the year before, and I achieved it this year, and I'll do another one to catch up. And I do them in bars, not galleries, because I miss, you know, I'm old. I miss in the like early 2000s when every bar you went to had some artist's work on the wall that was kind of cool. And I remember like gallery openings that were sponsored by beer brands and vodka brands, and you turn up and get a little bit loose and look at some art, and it was an excuse to meet people and hang out and socialize. And if me hanging pictures that I'm proud of on a wall will bring people into that situation, social media will never do that. People don't get together and cheer and celebrate and have a few beers because you put a post up, right? Using social media as the only endpoint, or even the target endpoint, is not the way to go about it anymore. It may well have been, but I think we're all past that. It was a theme in yesterday's talk that engagement is the new measure of success and luxury, not I got 52 likes. And we all know that a like doesn't mean I liked it. A like and a little fire emoji means I want to be seen to seeing your post. And again, I do it, but it is an empty action. Ooh, AI. Okay. So that's our views on social media.
Can I just jump in? I just want to just let you all know that the GIF selections were mine, and to take full credit for them. So this was my contribution to the creativity presentation today. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. Okay, I'll just go now. I can just leave now, right?
Yeah. How come you got applause and I haven't for anything I said so far?
Thank you, Claire.
Okay, AI. They are also very good GIFs. It's fine. They are. The raccoon is amazing. Yeah, we didn't give a thing. AI is also fraught with limitations. Like it's the new Emperor's New Clothes. We use it for everything, and we shouldn't. There are many reasons we shouldn't. We can talk about every AI search uses 22 times more CO2 than every Google search. And that's not even including the water cooling and the e-waste from replacing the hardware to keep up with the software. There's an ethics to using AIs that is very, very dodgy. And I'll say it here, even though it doesn't, I was going to say it later, but we're almost bless you. Most people in this group, we're very good on dealing with climate change, right? You know, like we don't use plastic straws anymore. We've made all the things. We're reducing our usage. We're very good at, I think it's time to put our money where our mouth is when it comes to social media and AI. Most people I've spoken to here have been like, AI is bad. And then they go and use ChatGPT. Maybe it's a little bit of a time to be responsible. If you feel like AI is bad, stop putting your work into AI. All you're doing is feeding the monster. I brand shoots where I find my work being people meet the client immediately putting it into ChatGPT or into Sora is a very common one to animate my stills. I respect that you're trying to squeeze more out of the imagery, and I do like that, but also you're just feeding an AI that is ultimately out to replace creatives. And the ethics there make me uncomfortable. That's my little blur. But AI is also an amazing tool, right? I know, but Bob, you guys use it in Line Studios quite a lot, right? And I know that, Claire, you also use AI, but how do you guys make it part of what is otherwise a very human process?
Yeah, I mean, we use it with caution. I mean, a few thoughts on AI. It's obviously an enormous topic, and we could spend the entire hour now talking about it, but we should, let's not, basically.
Yeah, we can't.
Nobody wants that, right? But maybe a few thoughts, you know, from the perspective of Mr. Line Studio. It's obviously, it's a complex topic, and as a technology, it's one which has a lot of promise to make us more efficient, make us more effective in what we do, and we do use it. So, you know, to give a few examples, here and there we use it for research. We'll use it for note-taking, analyzing big documents. More recently, we've started using generative AI to visualize ideas. So, to give you an example, we did a project for Hermes last week where we had like 24 hours to come up with a drink, and there was a particular garnish that we were going to suggest to the client, which was an open clamshell with 3 lychee boba and some samphire in it. We didn't have any of those things to hand, but we had to sell it into the client the next day. So being able to just generate that image on the fly, and not because it's going to be the end product, but just to display what we have in our minds is super helpful.
Can I just ask, so I often have a problem where clients give me a generative AI image, and the problem is that they get fixated on it as a visual, and I then get asked to basically replicate it. I just did a big ad campaign in the UK that, I will not say the brand, they presented a rendered image, and my goal through a day was basically to recreate it as closely as possible using humans and real liquid. I think, is there something there where it may be a bad thing to give them something that looks realistic?
I think the way to sidestep that, I mean, first of all, our output is not normally an image, so it's not as much of an issue, but also don't just give them one image. Right, if you give them one and say, here's what we're going to do for you, then they'll be like, where's my thing that looks like the image that you gave me? You can still, as you would with like reference images, give a whole selection of things. It'd be a bit like this and a bit like that, and use the kind of tone from that, and then...
So more like a mood board?
It's a mood board, exactly. But one where you could be more specific. And so, yeah, we use AI in a number of cases, but we never use it to replace the creative process, like that creative leap that you need to make. AI is just not built for that. It's derivative. It takes what's out there, kind of regurgitates it. It doesn't make those creative leaps. It's not like illogical in the way that the creative brain needs to be. It doesn't look in weird places. It doesn't do weird, imperfect stuff, which is where great kind of creativity comes from. And, I think if you are using it for making drinks recipes or writing copy or anything like that, you are, in real danger of kind of ending up with quite mediocre outputs. But I think probably most people would agree with that position. That's certainly what I hear from like other people in other agencies. But I think there's a hidden risk that is like deeper than that, which is that using it for things like research, like, okay, tell me everything about Iraq or about Mexico City, it's very tempting to get that instant response, that instant bit of information that can help you in your process. But what you're doing there is you're like skipping a big part of the creative process that is where you get the inspiration for your best ideas. Like the hard graft of research, speaking to people, looking in weird and strange places. Like that's where all the good stuff comes from.
Yeah, we're going to do a big chunk of this on creative process in a minute.
Yeah, and so I think that you can dull your creative senses by skipping those steps. And I guess the other point is that, in my point of view, selling ideas into clients or, getting your team on board, getting customers on board, a big part of it is your passion. Like how passionate are you about a particular idea? And I would say, how passionate can you be about something which like has been spat out by a computer?
Yeah.
Like it's just not going to happen.
What out of interest, what AI do you use for these things? And I'll ask you guys all in a minute. It's interesting to see what everyone is using. Is it just ChatGPT?
Yeah, most commonly, but I'm just very aware of the results that you get from that.
My big flag is always, it's weird. ChatGPT is oddly eager to please. Like, there's so many good articles out there about how ChatGPT just lies to you because it doesn't want to offend you. There was a great one about a journalist I read who was she'd used ChatGPT. She said, "Look, I'm a journalist. I'm trying to get some more writing jobs. Can you tell me which of my articles I should include?" And ChatGPT's like, "Yeah, of course. Send me the links, man. It's all cool." So she sends the links, and ChatGPT goes, "I think you should definitely include that one. I really love the way you did this, that, and that." And she's like, "Hold on, I never wrote that." And he goes, "Yeah, sorry, my bad. So because of the way the platform worked, I couldn't actually read the article. It wouldn't let robots in, but I didn't want to hurt your feelings, so I just thought I've told you what I thought you'd like to hear. And I really acknowledge my mistake. I'm very sorry. I will try my best not to do it again. Is there anything else I can help you with?" And it's like, all it needed to say was, "No, access denied, terribly sorry." But it didn't want to hurt her feelings. Like, we have this idea that ChatGPT is just a hammer or a wheel, or I do, and actually it's a little bit more nefarious because it's a wheel that really wants to make you happy and think it can do anything.
I think there's parallels with social media in that it had this promise. Social was about bringing people together. I think arguably it's made us more.
Yeah, that's it.
more disconnected, more separate, more divided. And I think, AI is meant to make us smarter, and I think if we're not careful, it will make us less smart. I guess like one more thing to say is that we also should all remember what industry we're in. We're in hospitality. It's about bringing people together, giving them experiences, creating emotions. No computer right now, and hopefully for a long time, is ever going to understand that. They can't taste things. They can't feel emotion. They can't understand body language
Yet.
And so I guess that's both a warning, but also a note of positivity in that we're perhaps insulated from some of this. If you're a banker right now or a computer programmer, you're probably shitting yourself that the robots are coming. But in our industry, maybe we're all right for a bit.
There was a big, obviously in the photography industry, it was a big terror when it came out, and there was a lot of people saying, don't use it. Our jobs are gone. We're useless. And actually, the reality is, yes, please. The reality is that, thank you so much. The reality is that it's the same. Like the human input is, I think it's shining a light on how important humans are.
Yeah, I will add that where I see ChatGPT used most often is by bartenders who want to win world class. And I think while we are hopefully quite far away from the robots being able to talk taste in the most effective way, it's very obvious when a bartender enters world class that they've used ChatGPT to construct their script. It's always been inspired by their grandmother, who loved lavender, and I think what we tend to kind of see are drinks that look and kind of taste like something. I'm going to say it because he's in the room and I love to embarrass him, but taste like Ryan's drinks, right? They're not coming from a genuine place of inspiration. They're not using ingredients that are local to that particular bartender. They are always kind of in a glass like this. There's always a milk punch. So we get to this sort of like homogenized version of a world-class cocktail, which is not drawing from any local inspiration or from a genuine place of curiosity from a bartender. It's like type in how to win world-class and you'll get step 1 to step 10, and your drink will ultimately look like something that's on Ryan's menu. So I think that's the danger. Like we are protected to a certain extent because we talk taste, but please, as a bartender, don't be tempted to use it because it's always super obvious.
I mean, it's the same in all of these. You can tell. Okay, so the TLDR, social media, AI, they suck. They kind of suck. All right, we're a little bit behind, so I'm going to do what I do best and talk too fast. So how does creativity work, right? It's a pretty consistent process, and it is also where social media and AI let us down, right? It goes, you put the effort in at the beginning, you have the idea and you put the effort. How am I going to solve the problem? What's it going to be? Work it. You put the energy in until you feel full, and then you step away. Then I think of it as being active and then passive and then active. Or perspiration, inspiration, perspiration. You work the idea and then you go, fuck, that's it. Yes. And then leave it alone for a little bit and allow your psyche to build it. It will. You do it in the back of your head. Trust it. Trust that process. But then you have to put the hard work in again. Then you come to other people. And then, so it's not just, I've come up with the idea, great, we're done, bosh. Then you tweak and you refine and you build and you solve and you talk to other people and you build something socially. Like this is, sorry, you were going to say something.
Well, I just was thinking about the bit between perspiration and inspiration and the eureka moment. For many people, that's when the ego jumps in and starts to say, "This is my idea. I'm a genius. Let me just launch this idea." This is the moment when I then talk to my husband and say, "Babe, I've got such a good idea," and he's like, "That's a shit idea." And that is why the third bit of perspiration. He's here.
He's here, by
the way.
And he's going, "No, I
He's
don't."
like, "Yes, babes." And that's why the third bit of the perspiration is such an important part, not to not to overlook. It's like check in with your friends or colleagues or people or your peers and say, hey, I've had this idea, because the best ideas are really only great ideas when you've worked on them with other people, because they are coming to your idea with their own influences and their own bits of inspiration, and that is when you're going to get a really spectacular idea. So, just be aware of having that eureka moment, and then check yourself or check your ego and talk to your husband or your loved one for them to completely break you down, and you have to build yourself back up again. But do you know what I mean? The ego is a really important part.
I mean, attached to that also, there's the idea that I've come up with this idea, it's mine. And we're scared to share it sometimes. I think it's in that Rick Rubin book that everybody's got on their bookshelf, that he talks about an idea needs to be born. Because ideas are born. We'll go into this again if we squeeze it quickly. But ideas are born from society, and it needs to be born. You are never having that idea on your own. You've got your viewpoint of it, but someone else has got that idea. And if you don't make it real, it's like the idea has no value on its own. It's just ephemeral. You can't be like, it's mine, I've got it, I'm going to keep it, my precious thing. You've got to make it.
There's also a sense of ideas are out there all the time, and if you have it and you don't necessarily do something with it, then that idea will come out somewhere else.
Yeah.
There's whole kind of stories about books being written by somebody else, but I had that idea first. So, it's important that if you have an idea, you socialize it, right? And then if you're not the best person to make that idea come to life, that's okay. Let somebody else write the book, There
was I remember a summer when I was a kid where it was there were 3 disaster movies that came out back to back. It was there was one about a volcano and one about a hurricane and one about an earthquake or something. I think Pierce Brosnan was in 2 of them. And it was that bit where you're who copied who? And I now realize as a grown-up, nobody copied anybody. It was just that the beginnings of climate fear were in there, climate change fear were in there somewhere, and some very smart writers wrote a script, but at the same time someone else wrote a script. And then, it's just, they're not copying you. We'll go into copying later, but other people have the idea. Make it, put the hard work in, share it, get your ego out of the way. There we go. Right, speaking of the where do the ideas come from bit, right? Most of my ideas come from, this is mine. Claire cannot claim this one. And it's fucking brilliant. Yeah, it's linked to a meme that I don't get, so it's fine. My best ideas come in a shower, right? It comes when you switch off. It comes when you're in liminal spaces, in between spaces, interstitial areas where you're not doing a thing. For me, it's in the shower or it's cooking lasagna. Lasagna is a dish that I've made since I was 18, so I spent nearly 30 years making lasagna, and it requires just enough skill set that I'm focused, but I can switch off enough because I've made it so many times and it's muscle memory. And while I'm cooking lasagna, inevitably something clicks. The other one, before I had a surgery that I'll talk about later and gross you out, but I used to run a lot, and the other ideas were when I would go for a run, preferably through the woods, and I'd be recently reading about scream therapy, so often I'd be running in East London through the woods screaming until my lungs hurt. And in that moment, beardy, and it was post-COVID, so it was big beard, crazy hair, and someone walking their dog about 10 meters away, wondering who's being killed. But there's something in that moment of emptiness when something just goes. You have to get a bit fucking wild and freaky sometimes for that stuff to come in. So there's a famous article that says often there's something about sitting on the toilet as well, for your brain switches off. You said something that doesn't engage some. Was it was you? We were talking about it in the beginning. You were not on the toilet, but you were talking about.
Penis of genius.
I'm not saying that on this microphone. Where do you get your? Give me some shouts. Where do you get your? Where's the weird place you find ideas? Anyone? Driving. See, I don't have a driving license because I'm a Londoner, so I can't. If I try and have ideas when I'm cycling, I'll crash. Anyone else? Weird places? Walking the dog. Yeah. Also, dogs help with the energy, your emotions, right? Yeah. I take my cat on a leash sometimes because I'm odd, and I can't really equate because cats don't like being on leashes.
Is this just therapy for you? Is this Are we in some sort of intervention that we don't know about? Addie,
many.
Do you need a hug?
You take Mackie for a walk all the time. So often when I have a call with you, you're like.
That's why I'm here on a stage talking about creativity, because I'm always not working. I'm thinking, guys. Oh no, there's a camera. I am working. Always.
So when we were doing this talk, we sort of tried to think of, we work in very diverse ways, and we tried to sort of pool the different processes that we have where we find creativity in a way that made sense, and we kind of put them into 3 groups for you all, in the hope that this is, so now we get into the bit where you can start to like take notes and think. I don't know if I said it at the beginning, but at the end we're going to do 10 minutes of Q&A. So if we say anything in passing, there's going to be a lot of information pinging around. Just jot it down, and then shout at us at the end, because there's going to be stuff you want to poke or probe, and I hate that moment at the end where we go, any questions? And there's this awful silence in the room, and then 10 minutes later, you all come up with me with a million questions. So the first one, we called it cross-pollination. Right. One of the things I always task my clients with, this is from an exhibition I did a couple of years ago, I'll talk about it in a minute, but is I always task my clients, and most of them fail, don't send me pictures of drinks, send me non-drink pictures that you think speak to your brand. Send me architects or architecture or fashion or lifestyle shoots. Flick through Vogue and cut some stuff out. Don't go through Imbibe. I love Imbibe. Don't go through Imbibe and send me drink inspo. Don't go on Instagram. Send me the other stuff that speaks to your culture or your mindset, and that will allow me to get into your world and be inspired by your world to how do we relate it to drinks. So this was a personal project. A lot of my ideas come from pushing back against what I do on a day-to-day basis. And the theory behind it was, I wonder if I can photograph a cocktail without photographing a cocktail. Have we trained consumers enough that they know what a Negroni and a Mojito and a Spritz look like? That I can use in color backdrops and still life photography, tell you what it is. So this is like a Negroni, and the sources were like luxury magazines. I read a lot of wallpaper, and what else was in there? Probably some weird design. There's probably like a bit of fetish stuff and jewelry stuff with the stringing and the stretching of the orange on a red background. It's very simple. It actually took a very long time to make. And that idea would never have happened if I just looked at pictures of Negronis. I had to look outside that. And then when I finished the project, it wasn't complete. So I let it sit. I edited all the images. There's 5 of them. And I didn't know what the output was. And I was a couple of months later, I was at an exhibition about travel posters. And it suddenly clicked, and I was like, cocktails are destinations. So I took the photos, and it's that kind of go to Turin where it's all, and I was like, go to Negroni land and go to Mojito land and go to, and this whole project would never have occurred if I hadn't allowed other verticals to inspire me. This was a series of drink photographies for the photographs for the Glen Eagles bar, and their menu was using discarded products from within the hotel, but it was inspired by the Scottish landscape around them. And that was the brief. And then I worked with an amazing stylist I used to work a lot with called Sophie Iona, who's the cosmetic stylist. So again, cross-pollination. And again, it requires people and teamwork. So we took that idea and we took visual inspiration from Ikebana, from Japanese flower arranging. So we looked at all the rules of aesthetics for Japanese flower arranging. And we built these sets that, and this is a few years ago, so color blocking wasn't quite as boring as it is now. And the idea was that it needed to be simple enough to leap at you on Instagram, but we wanted to make images that were there that you could allow the aesthetic to soak in, that forced a bit of calm and focus. So the ingredients around it, on the side is a husk of a fruit that's used in the drink. It has the whole ingredients around it crap that everyone likes, that I'm not a fan of. But it also, we built these beautiful, very fragile sculptures on a very clean environment. And the thing I love about it is through all that cross-pollination, it's not a drink on a bar top with an out-of-focus bartender pouring into it. It's not, you know what I mean? It's not that same stuff. And that would never have happened if we hadn't allowed all of our antennae collectively to be inspired by other completely unrelated things. And I need you all need to open that book and let that weird in. This is one of a Lion project. Can you speak to that?
Yes, bottom right image is from a project we did. I guess the point that I wanted to make here is about you have to be open to cross-pollination, kind of create the conditions in which that can happen. And for me, a lot of that is to do with physical presence. Like, there's a reason that we're all in the room here today. Like, this could have been a Zoom, the whole conference, but we've all chosen to come to New Orleans. There's a reason for that. We prioritize physical presence in our projects. This image down here is from a bar project that we did for a bar in Chicago called After. It's the sister bar to Ever restaurant, which is a 2 Michelin star restaurant. It's actually, if you've watched The Bear, it's where Olivia Colman works in The Bear. Curtis Duffy's the chef, and so they came to us last year. to look at after. Essentially, had an identity problem. It's kind of in the shadow of its incredible, bigger sister restaurant next door, struggling to identify what its purpose is. And we could have, from a distance, prescribed, here's some solutions for you. But actually, we decided to go to Chicago. In fact, we've been to Chicago a lot. And we got to know the team, we got to see the space, but we also picked up on the little details that made the difference. And in this case, the detail was the music. And they were playing generic kind of hip hop. Nothing wrong with that, but the team just didn't like it. Like, it wasn't their music. They were playing it because they felt that's what the customer wanted. And it wasn't working, and we started talking to Curtis, and he's like covered in tats, like he's into motorbikes, he loves rock and roll, like old school, Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, that kind of stuff, the Ramones. And we're like, okay, well, we'll change the music then. So we made him a playlist, and suddenly, like when we started playing this like loud in the bar, first of all, it felt a bit disjointed. We were like, oh God, can we do this? Yeah, let's do this. And then suddenly the team were just energized by it. Like, they suddenly had a vibe and a direction, and like, yeah, this is us. And so it kind of galvanized the team, but it was also the inspiration that we then used for all of the drink design and all of the photography. We even briefed our graphic designer to adjust the visual identity using a playlist.
Yeah.
Like,
That's
it became
my
this
favorite
like
thing in the
North
story.
Star for everything.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Give the brief. Imagine getting a brief that's a playlist if you're a visual artist. Like,
Yeah, he was so excited.
yeah, 'cause no one does that.
But there's no way you pick up on that little detail without being there physically.
Yeah, 100%. This is an irrelevant photo that's actually relevant, but this is the drink that you've all got on beeswax old fashioned. How did this come about in 2 minutes?
This is this is a classic. I mean, we chose this partly because it's fucking delicious. Hopefully, you'll agree. And thank you to the CAP team, by the way, for doing an awesome job. But this was created by Ryan and Ian like 15 odd years ago in White Lion. And we chose it because it's delicious, but it's also an example of looking for inspiration in weird places and cross-pollination, bees. But
Surely applause.
yeah, come on. It's the first and only time my dad jokes get an applause.
Also means I'm the only one who's had no applause yet. So now I've got to work up. No, kiss ass.
But as you know, we're always determined to kind of to do things differently and like challenge convention. And 15 years ago, like a lot of the industry was very focused on kind of processing ingredients using technologies like rotovaps and so on. And Ryan and Im were keen to kind of look outside of that and look for inspiration in different places. And in this case, it was things like spirits and coffee and food, and they realized that those categories were looking at texture in a way that the cocktail world was not, and things like mouthfeel. And so, Ryan's a real big geek about bees.
30 seconds.
Pardon?
30 seconds.
Okay. Took inspiration from bees and beeswax, and this drink essentially uses beeswax to really take the edges off the whiskey in the drink, but equally it enables you to do a kind of flip of an old-fashioned. So normally an old-fashioned, the ice melts, it gets thinner as you drink it. With this, as the drink warms up, the beeswax kind of loosens, and so it actually becomes more intense. So you get this like flip of an old-fashioned.
And I put the other slide up already for you. It was like, so if you were to give like a really short roadmap for what the Lion process is, how would that run?
So I guess perhaps contrary to others in the same space, we spend a lot of time defining the question to start off before we get into anything. So that means spending a lot of time with the client, asking questions, doing very active listening, playing back what we've heard, reconfirming exactly what it is that they're trying to achieve, what they're struggling with, like defining the problem. We then do what we call immersion, which means, often traveling, visiting places. The image here is Ryan and Mark from the team visiting the production site of Ceylon Iraq in Sri Lanka, putting in the hard yards of really getting under the skin of the problem, looking in unconventional places. Then we use all of that information to come up with a strategy. And by strategy, I just really mean like a focal point. Like, what are all the things that you're not going to do? And then what's the one thing that you're going to focus on? And only when we've done all of that will we start thinking about solutions.
Yeah. I think it's important for creatives. Like, it's really easy. We're talking a lot about connections and creativity, but it's sometimes really important to remember it does require discipline. Like, you do need your steps and your stages, and your process might differ from the Lion process. But when you find it's like, especially with time important projects, I'm not going to bother talking about that picture. If you want to know, ask me later. But you need to come back to that discipline steps, and it goes back to the action. You can't just faff around and be like, hey, that's cool, man. And sometimes you won't find inspiration. Sometimes you need to go through the stages to work out if it's real or not. Yeah. The last one, I'm just quite conscious of time. So this last bit is about people, right? It's about, it's all good having you've got your social antenna, picking up all these other things, but also listen within. Like, you are all creative forces, and we all have very personal lives. This is, a few years ago, having a bit of pain, I found out I have very advanced arthritis in both my hips from years of bartending and photography and running and martial arts and weird shit. So I had to have my hip replaced at the age of 44. And that threatened my career, and it threatened the way I parent my little boy. And I needed to get that out. Is that my antenna, there was nothing outside, it wasn't working. I had something inside that needed to come out, like literally and creatively. So I asked the surgeon to hold on to the top of my femur after he cut it off, and lived in my freezer for a couple of weeks until I was ready. And so this is a martini station where the garnish on the bottom left is the top of my thigh bone. And the garnish on the right that looks really horrific is actually just pickled lemons. But it was like I needed to find a way to express myself through the skill set I have. And I think, we talk about looking out. I know it's really gross, but it is also very cool, come on. It's still in my freezer, and my wife every now and then, she's ferreting around and goes like, oh, I just found your hip bone, could you put it, do something with it? And I put it back in the freezer. I know your individuality is important. Like, it's very easy, we talk about ego, but also there's imposter syndrome, and it's very easy to step out of the way of the idea, but also assert yourself back into it. Be confident, be part of it, be visible, be seen to yourself as well. Like in Lion, you obviously have that situation where you have a very well-known figurehead of a human, and he's a personality. How do you kind of fit that into also being an agency full of a big team with an agency direction?
Yeah, it's a tricky balance. I mean, we're all obviously very privileged to have Ryan and all the kind of credibility and notoriety that he brings with us, but we also don't want to be Ryan's talent agency, so we have to kind of sort of balance those two things. But I think. So this image here is from Mr. Lion's Taste Trips. It's like a TV series where Ryan's basically traveling the world, visiting cities that we love, telling stories about food and drink in those cities. And yeah, it's been a privilege, but also, yeah, we feel very lucky basically to be able to tell our own story through this medium. So what we haven't done is gone, okay, let's research the hell out of Japan and give you a report on Japan. We actually haven't done very much research on any of these locations we go to. It all comes from within. So it all comes from conversations, not just like what's in Ryan's brain, but what's in the team's brain. What are the things that we think are interesting? Who are the people that we know there that we want to include and talk about? And so it's a very personal project, which I think makes for better TV. Yeah. It's also 35 minutes long, which is quite the opposite of the average TikTok reel.
Not social media friendly.
Yeah, yeah, which feels quite nice. And I think also, the booze industry has got a bit of a PR problem. We found this when we were trying to get support for this from people like Netflix. They just didn't want to be seen to be promoting alcohol. We found a way around it. We found a way to kind of make it and fund it in a different way, working with brands. But so it feels very nice to be able to buck that trend and demonstrate that like this isn't an industry about giving people drugs. It's an industry about craft and humanity and innovation and history. And
There's a
culture.
good note in there as well about with creativity, you do sometimes need perseverance. Like you need to push. Just because you hit a road, like there's an idea for many people that creativity should be easy, and I think AI is only fueling that. But difficulty and conflict and friction and making mistakes, that's part of the creative process. And by pushing through, that's the only way you refine it. So we talked a lot about, so that's all. So now you've got all these connections. We've just had this big spaghetti talk where we're like, it's all out there and in there and have a process. How do you then apply it? Right. I mean, I think that's basically why we have Claire. Like, I mean, within the Diageo framework, how do you apply all this creativity? What's the process? How do you build brands with it?
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, great. Okay, moving on.
So yeah, I mean, look, I'm head of advocacy for Diageo, and I think there's a couple of ways that I can sort of approach creativity. One is to talk about how creativity helps to build brand equity, and I think if you're in the room and you're not a brand or you're not representing a brand, you still probably, as a bartender, have your own personal brand, right? Particularly if you think about social media, not that it's the devil, but we do use that to amplify our work.
Yeah, it's a great tool,
and it is a tool for that purpose. And I think up here are the three key drivers of brand growth. So even if you're not here from Campari or Diageo or whatever, but you have your own personal brand, this is still relevant. So this is according to Kantar, by the way. So if you want to build your own brand, you need to be different. That's kind of obvious, right? You want to be distinctive, you want to stand out from the crowd. But difference in and of itself is not enough. You also need to be meaningful. So how do you, in the work that you create, make emotion, make people feel something? Because distinctiveness or difference plus emotion or meaning makes you memorable. And that's the last point, which is saliency. So those three things are incredibly important for us at Diageo to help us build our brands, but also you, if you're a bartender, to help create your own personal brand as well. This is a report that just was released a couple of months ago by Kantar, which is a blueprint for how you grow your brand. So again, if you're a brand person or if you're a personal brand, please look this up. This is a free download from Kantar, and it's basically a playbook for how you grow your brand. But this is work that is new thinking about how brands grow today, which is really, which I love because it's about, predispose to more people, be more present, find new spaces. Predisposition to more people means that we need to be exposed to more people, and that is not just through social media.
Yeah.
That is through in real life connections. That's building emotional experiences through what we do, not just through what we do on our screens.
I guess is that point about how just seeing something on your scroll is not the same as being exposure to it. You're not feeling it. You're not there with it.
And I think you think about how quickly you're scrolling and how much interaction you have with the things that you see. How much emotion is really being generated through that kind of quick 2-3 seconds. In fact, I think it's 1.75 seconds, in fact. So there's not a lot of connection that you're creating through scrolling. So, again, through a bartender's perspective, how are you connecting with more people through the work that you do? And that a lot of that is through emotion. Be more present. This kind of speaks to more brand styles, but this is about physical availability. So again, this presence is super important to how brands grow today. Are we physically available, not just through, are we not just digitally available? Are we showing up? Are we popping up? Are we available? Are we mentoring? Are we coaching? Are we, doing great brand activations? All of that is super critical. And the last one,
I think social media gives the illusion of visibility.
And accessibility.
It's hey, I'm on social media all the time being seen by people, but that's not really visibility.
Yeah. And finding new space. This is interesting because this is about, new occasions, new need states, new motivations of our consumers. Are we thinking about what the modern day consumer actually wants from us as brands, as bartenders? We talk a lot about no and low. Obviously, I've got passion for no and low, but are we really thinking about how we can show up in more spaces for more people to be more physically available, to be more present? So this is essentially a blueprint for how you grow your brand. So I recommend that you download it. Just go to the next slide, please. Mm-hmm. Now you're going to be totally overwhelmed by the meme-a-thon that is coming your way. Okay, so thinking about how we apply this at Diageo, but I'm thinking also about how this applies to world-class bartenders, and world-class bartenders do this incredibly well. So firstly, we're thinking about how creativity bleeds into cultural leadership, right? We are not just creating drinks or campaigns, we are creating trends, and we are creating the culture of the future in the work that we do. So how present in culture are we? How curious about culture are we? Again, you're not going to get cultural richness from what you're kind of seeing be fed to you through social media and through AI. So how curious are we? How aware are we? How tapped into what is changing and leading culture in a new direction? That's how brands maintain their resonance, but that's also how bartenders really stand out. Next meme, please. Thank you.
I'm on you. I got you.
So please come to my other seminar, which is on Thursday. Thank you. Shameless plug for my other seminar, which is all about the future of socializing. But sitting behind a screen is not going to inspire you, really. In real life connections, talking to bartenders, being in bars, being exposed to different influences from behind your screens, having conversations, connection, community, culture, all those things are really, really important for brands and for bartenders. Get out from behind your screen and be inspired by things that are happening in real life, including things like nature. Go to a park, go to the beach, think about...
Go to an art gallery. Like I said, nothing will inspire you more than going to the same art gallery you've been to 20 times and you'll find something new in it.
Yeah.
We
talk a lot about Pinterest. I love Pinterest, but innovation doesn't start there, right? Innovation starts with understanding people, purpose, and then maybe check it out on Pinterest. Maybe you can check whether a trend is trending on Pinterest, but really get curious about who you want to connect with, who's your community, who's your audience, and what's their purpose, what's driving them, how can you be meaningful to that community, how can you think about connecting what you do to where they want to go, and that again is a way for brands to grow.
I mean, Bob's point about understand the question, and the question might not be
what's the
obvious.
question? But also connecting the relevance of what you do with the relevance of what they want to do, and that creates meaning and difference.
Is that this one?
This is my favorite one, actually. Next one, please. This is about leave space for magic and discovery.
Is that Morph?
That's
It's
Morph,
isn't it? Oh, that dates us.
I mean, did you get Morph in the US?
No.
Do you know who Morph is?
You guys heard, what's he called?
Oh my God, you must Google Morph, guys. You're missing out.
Thank you.
He's the best. But create space for magic, discovery,
Leave space for magic is a really big one. I say it in the studio to clients a lot.
Yeah, because the algorithm forces us to be predictable, right? And creativity really exists in risk and, taking chances, and that's where creativity
And risk. And also, I always say in the studio that the natural state of the universe is entropy. It's not order.
Yeah, exactly. Did you get the Muppets here? Yeah, fine. Okay, good. Okay, good. So you know this one. Okay, this one's about diverse perspectives. Make space for the underrepresented voices. Speak to people that are not often spoken to. Find inspiration in diverse perspectives, because that is where genuinely, that third perspiration box, this is where that all comes to life. And then last one, I'm being quick. Be distinctive, guys. Stand out. Distinctiveness. Distinctiveness is about not blending in. The algorithm will force you into being homogenous, and so resist the homogeny that comes from all of the ideas that get spouted out by ChatGPT. So, if you want to create a lasting impression, if you want to be timeless, you need to kind of really think about how distinctive whatever work you do. And that really means you've got to take some risks. And that also means not everyone's going to love it. And that means you're not for everybody. Yeah. And that's fucking okay.
It's more okay, that's the goal.
Because who needs more beige in their life? Nobody needs more beige in their life. Everybody needs to kind of think about who they are and what they do makes them distinctive, makes them stand out, makes them timeless.
All right. Okay. So this is. I'm going to have a moment of audience feedback. So we've got 6 minutes. So we've got two choices. You can either we've got a little tool set, and I can run through that, or do y'all have questions that you want to run through? So what we do is we're going to go, yay! Who wants to do the tool set? Yay. Who wants to ask us a bunch of really difficult questions? Oh, okay, right. I thought that might be the case. Just you. Right, so I'm going to leave time for your question. we're going to run through this. I think, Bob, do you want to take us through the first few?
Yeah, so we just wanted
We'll
to
go
leave
super fast.
you with some bite-sized nuggets.
This is for like if you hit a roadblock or you're struggling. It's like just jot these down or take a photo. This is the bit to take a photograph of the screen. It's going to be 4 per slide.
If you forget everything that we've been rambling on about, just
Yeah.
remember these bits. So first of all, and I say this to the team quite a lot, like if you're struggling, you're finding that you can't articulate what you're doing, or it just it won't come out, it's probably because you haven't defined the question. So go back a step.
Or you've misdefined it.
Or you've misdefined
I
it.
often say that clients don't get the question often.
Secondly, give yourself and people around you permission to be creative. There's lots of research that basically says if you brief people to to solve a problem and then brief them to solve it in the most creative way possible, the second one is better, because people will take that advice and they will push things further. So give yourself permission. Love the problem, not the solution. So, don't come up with an idea and then become fixated on it and defend it to the hilt and force it through. Be in love with the problem. Like, really engage with that part, and the solutions will flow. And then finally, set boundaries. There's a quote from Ogilvy that I always forget to say exactly, but it's essentially around the freedom of a tight brief. Like having a really tightly defined brief with constraints will make you so much more able to be creative in interesting ways.
And it would be easier to recognize if you need to tear those boundaries down, which does also happen.
Thank you. Yeah, I'll whiz through these. So being creative means, being more creative. Like Addie paints. What else do you do, Addie?
I make furniture, woodwork, anything I can throw myself at.
So invite creativity into your worlds. Don't just think about, drinks or cocktails or our hospitality world. What else are we doing to kind of invite creativity in? As I say, invite lots of diverse perspectives in to give you a kind of real range of inspiration. Remembering that everybody comes with their own kind of set of experiences, and they will make your solving of a problem much richer. Please fail. Like we heard yesterday in the Futures track about the beauty of imperfection and the luxury of imperfection, and I think perfection will not create beautiful ideas.
Yeah.
Like get shit wrong, iterate, learn from it, but do it quickly.
Also, like failing breaks your ego, and I think that's really important.
Yeah, I think it's super important.
Really good.
And actually share your failures as well, because I imagine that if you share your failures, be vulnerable, more people want to come in and then sort of like help you with your last perspiration box. And, this is linked to learn from others. So really, think about talking to other creatives, talking about their failures, their frustrations, and learn from other people.
All right, I'm going to whiz through mine without any fade through. Stop scrolling, stop comparing, get off Instagram. Comparison is the death of joy. Social media is the death of everything. Just keep going. Eat less, eat better, exercise more has always been my tenet when I'm trying to get in shape or I put a bit of weight on. And I think it's the same for creativity. Consume less media, consume better media. Exercise your creative muscle more. It's a muscle, it's a skill, use it, but also allow space for rest. It's like if you go to the gym, you're always meant to take a rest day to let the muscles develop. I think it's important to make a project and then don't do anything for a day. Take a day off. It's really important. We're not doing that, sorry. Talk about it. Bob talked about this. The best thing you can do is talk to someone who isn't on the team. They'll tell you if it's BS, they'll see right through it. The last one is look up and let go. Go for a walk in nature. But I'm a big believer. There's a lovely a book by John Berger about ways of seeing it. One of the things in there is look at other things. Walk down the road. The number of times we just do this. I get so much inspiration looking up at gargoyles and buildings and windows and wondering what's behind them, or cloud shapes, or noticing the trees and the flowers. And yes, it's hippy-dippy bullshit, but also it changes your perspective on the world, and it's really important. Also for your neck muscles, it's really good just to look up sometimes, because also it makes your chest open, it makes you open for stuff into your heart, right? Not this little closed-in thing.
I just want to quote Polaroid. One Polaroid. Please check out the recent Polaroid series of ads. They are so phenomenal.
I haven't seen them.
But the best one for me was, it says nobody on their deathbed wish they spent more time on their phones.
Yeah.
So it's a series of incredible kind of quotes in that respect. But if you take nothing less than that away from today,
Yeah.
creativity will not come from here.
Yeah.
It's going to come from here.
I call them porch stories. Like when you're old and you got the blanket over your legs and you're on your porch and you're on the way out, you don't sit there and think about the memes you saw. You're never going to be like, oh my God, remember the raccoon? No offense. Like, you're going to be like, oh, that time I had the martini with the president, not the president, with somebody else at a bar. And sorry, Jesus, I didn't know. That's not my applause moment. I have to leave the country. I'd quite like to leave the country.
You could have waited one more minute.
We don't have time for Q&As. I'm really sorry. Please grab us if you want to talk about why KPIs are shit, if you want to talk about what we can use. Do we need to be on social media? Can things go viral? Is viral important? Like, there are so many questions that we can take out of this, and I think we just need to come back next year and do a different talk that's on the same topic, because there's so much more in this. We're good. That's time. I'm really sorry. Thank you all so much. There's the QR about us. There's also a reading list attached to that of just some stuff that we think is really good to read, books and an article or two. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you so much.
Have a great day. Enjoy your whiskies. Santé bonheur.